Some Afghan interpreters who've worked alongside our brave Canadian Armed Forces members in the Afghanistan war are at risk of harm with the resurgent Taliban in Afghanistan. They are at risk of persecution and even death because they worked for our country and supported our men and women in uniform. In 2009, the Conservative government established a special immigration program to patriate at-risk interpreters and their families. Unfortunately, there are still some interpreters and contractors at risk in that country. The dislocation in Afghanistan and the lack of government structure there to run the program meant many interpreters didn't learn about the program or were unable to participate. Over 5 years ago, I worked with Canadian Armed Forces veterans to try and bring some of these left-behind interpreters to Canada. This was important to me as a veteran, even though I never served in Afghanistan. To our Afghanistan veterans, this is a critical loose end from that war that we need to address. To the credit of former Liberal Immigration Minister John McCallum, he listened to our calls and we were able to repatriate interpreter James Afghan to Canada in 2016. Shortly after, Prime Minister Trudeau forced the retirement of Mr. McCallum and put in a weak minister who was a Liberal insider and close friend to the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff. Minister Hussein did nothing. Nothing, even when Conservatives pledged bipartisan support to help people who were at risk because they had helped Canada. We pushed for action many times, and there was no interest, no compassion. I even urged Defense Minister Sajjan to act, given that one of the left-behind interpreters we were advocating for had worked for him in Afghanistan. Again, nothing but indifference and inaction. While the Trudeau government watched over 60,000 people walk across the border claiming asylum outside the proper process, they ignored a small number of Afghan interpreters who needed safety and asylum because of what they had done for our country. And now, after years of indifference by the Trudeau government, the pressure from veterans forced them to open an immigration program for the Afghan interpreters, but only for a couple of days. It is insulting to our military community and another sign of a Liberal government totally disconnected from the needs of our country.